Yeah, g'day. I've come down here today to catch up with Barry Rowan. He's a local farmer down here in our Otameter catchment. Barry is he's the chairman of our local catchment group, the Otameter catchment, and he's got a fairly good understanding on the greenhouse gas emissions. So I thought I'd just come down here today so Barry could fill us in with a bit of his info that he's got.
Yeah, cheers Logan and Groundswell. Yeah, does feel like we're being beaten up as pastoral farmers on an almost daily basis from our government and segments of our media for our high emissions, and there's a couple of points around that I sort of would like to challenge. The first one is about the way that they measure those emissions. So currently New Zealand measures our greenhouse gas emissions with a metric called GWP 100. Now this was developed back in the 1990s, and it treats all gases as being equal and probably taking up to 100 years to break down in the atmosphere, which is a little bit unfair to our methane, which only takes 10 years to break down. Now more recently, in fact in the last 2 or 3 years, there's been a new metric designed called GWP star. Now, this metric can actually work out what the methane emissions are and calculate that through in a lot more accurate way than the GWP 100. Now, when we do this calculation with GWP star, it actually shows that New Zealand agriculture has little to no warming effect on the environment. Now, there's nothing in the Paris Accord that would stop us from using GWP star, and in fact Europe is really pushing to use it for their ruminant animals to measure their methane emissions.
So it would seem absolutely odd that New Zealand is going down the GWP 100.
Yeah, it's completely outdated and past its use-by date really.
Yeah, right. Interesting. So what about the sequestering ability of everything on farm? You know, we obviously have a lot of stuff that sequestrates carbon.
Yeah.
That doesn't seem to be getting recognised either, does it?
No, I sort of take issue with this figure of 46% of the country's emissions, even taking away the wrong metric that's being used. That is a gross figure, so it really should be a net figure because our farmers are doing some fantastic sequestering out there. Our pastures doing a great job. There's been a recent study from Waikato University that shows that our pastoral soils contain somewhere between 100 and 130 tonnes of carbon. That's got there from our pastures and our organic matter. I know this property here, we grow in excess of 10 tonnes of dry matter per hectare per year. We utilise about 80% of that with our pastoral animals, our grazing animals. The other 20% is either trampled or rots and decays and turns into organic matter. Now, we all know that organic matter is like the holy grail of carbon sequestering, far superior than the pine forest. Now, we're putting in excess of 2 tonnes of organic matter per year per hectare when you include lime, dung and fertiliser with that other 2 tonne of dry matter.
Yeah, right. So there, and there must be some science out there that backs this up.
Yeah, well I'm sure. Well, the carbon in the soil's been done from Waikato University. And another one is out of AUT University, which was peer reviewed. It has sheep and beef properties offsetting their emissions by somewhere between 68 and 113% with the woody vegetation that they grow alone. And it's staggering.
It is. So what are your thoughts on the Minister for Climate Change and his proposed trip to Glasgow?
Yeah, well, he's justified his very high emissions in the trip, taking 12 people in tow and probably travelling first class by he said he'll go out and buy carbon credits to offset his emissions. Yet we as farmers, as I've just mentioned before, are doing a lot of sequestering and don't seem to be able to use that to offset our emissions.
So that would seem reasonably unfair that
It does.
it's good enough for one but not the rest.